Yeah, so Tom has been a he's been how many years have you worked with Icy Stars? 30, 20? Not 30, but you've known Sandy for 30 years, right?
I have known Sandy for 30 years, but this will be our eighth year since cycle 23.
All right, cool. Yeah, so this is cycle 51, and they've already been doing some pretty great things. They work together, nice knit community here. The first cycle to finish Geek Week in 1 week, actually, and have time left over. We usually go into a second week, which we call Button Factory, where some interns got to finish. So, dealing with a really good group here. And Tom has been an advocate in the Chicago community long time, right, Tom?
Yes, sir.
And just going to go into more of the civics based stuff here with you all today. And between these next four sessions, we got four pretty good different things laid out for you all to kind of get into and do some project based stuff, a little bit of project stuff, but Tom will get more into that as you guys get into these sessions, these next four sessions.
Okay, thank you. So this is Civics 101, the first of four sessions delivered via Zoom. And what I'm going to do now is just tell you a little bit about how the class is going to flow. Obviously, we'll be doing it over Zoom at 9 to 11, except the final session will be 9:30 to 11:30. We made that change in the schedule. We will start every session with some music suggested by you. So this morning, our musical selection was The Party Just Begun by the Cheetah Girls, suggested by Elise. So Elise, can you unmute and just say why you like that particular track?
I like that song because it was in a Cheetah Girls 2 movie, which is one of my favorite Cheetah Girls movie, and it's basically a song about they sung that song for the new graduates that were just getting ready to leave high school and they're ready to start like their journey. So I thought it was a really cool song to do for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Absolutely. So we'll start each session with some music, and we have a class website for you, which is at this space. So let me show you where that is. Yeah. Civics 101 on the website Civic Lab HQ. So that is right here. I'll put that link into the chat. So this is kind of like our headquarters, if you will, kind of like where everything is going to be. There you go. So what's on this website? Can you see it all? Thumbs up if you can see the website. Thank you. So here is the schedule for the four sessions. Also, lots of links that you'll notice. The Zoom link is here. The instructions for the final assignment is here. And after the class, right below, there will be the video and the PowerPoint. So you're free to return to the site and graze and take advantage of it. There's also quite a lot of information from previous classes. So this would be presentations and research material, and that's right here on class resources. So there's just lots of stuff here. Feel free to look at it. We've covered a lot of content over the years in this class that we're not going to cover in this particular session. So that's available for you. Okay, what are we going to do for these four sessions? We're going to take a look at the topic of civic engagement. And yeah, there you go. That's what I meant to do. I think you can see the class website now. All right, we're going to look at the topic of civic engagement, and we're going to go deep into how to think about and do civics. At the same time, we're going to talk about leadership, because in discussions with Larry, he said this is something that you guys are interested in and thought we might benefit from exploring. And we will come back and forth. As we're looking at civic engagement, we're going to touch base with our review of leadership. And the model that I like to use is something called servant leadership. Okay. So that's kind of the flow. The fourth class will be devoted to you. We're going to hand this microphone over to the interns, and each intern will be making a 5 to 6 minute presentation based on your burning issue. Now, you're all kind enough to fill out the introductions. A few of you decided that you didn't want to share, and so I will not reference that material. But for those of you that said it was okay to share, I'll put that spreadsheet on the class website in time for next class. So you can take a look and see what your colleagues have said about your burning issue and your hobbies, which are varied and fabulous. But we're going to get back to this burning issue in a little while. That's sort of going to be the driving theme of our work together. Now, today, we're going to talk about two major things. The first is what's underneath civics, which we call your belief system. Like, where do you start? Where's your head at, if you will? And then we're going to talk about how to do civics. And I have a particular way of looking at things. I work with a group called the Civic Lab, and we have a particular way that we approach how to do civics. And we'll start that today. And we'll also talk about servant leadership. All right. So that's the start. And this is me. Everyone can see the slide. Thumbs up if you can see the slide. Civics 101. Thank you. So this is me. This is the various websites that I work on. More than you probably want to know about. I'll go over my information in just a moment, but that's my contact information. Feel free to email me at any time about anything we talk about in the class or anything that comes up in other sessions about civics or community organizing or social justice. All right, the first question that I have for you is, why do civics? Please, I'll stop sharing the screen, but that's the question on the table. Why do civics? And unmute yourself or put things into chat. Why do civics? Why is this class being offered? You guys are all technologists, right? What does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Why do civics? Why are we having this session, these 4 classes, inside a technology training?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's important to engage in civics because you need to be like a voice in your community. You need to put forward your thoughts and beliefs and engage with others to find the best like harmony in your culture.
Oh, okay. Be a voice. Say more about that. Be a voice.
Talk more about. I would say for your like beliefs or how you think, like what is morally correct or how society should operate.
To make things better? Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Although I'd argue a lot of people enter civics to push their personal opinions. More.
Yes. Well, so hold on to that, because you just touched upon the first discussion of leadership, right? So we're gonna return to this theme back and forth. As I said, we're talking about civics, we're talking about leadership. So what I take, Cordell, from that saying is a good leader is pushing forward things that might benefit the community, acting on their principles and beliefs. And a leader that might be questionable is just someone trying to, feather their own nest or something, or just maybe it's an ego trip, something like that, perhaps. Okay. Other people, why do civics? Why just to stay home? Why bother?
Go
ahead.
Okay, so I believe the reason for civics is to resolve the social issues that's been bothering humanity for decades, there's always a reason why one person thinks is better than the other. It's either color, race, social status, or whatever status. So that's when equity or equality comes into place. And for the tech world, it's very apparent that in present day, tech is a cis male. Is that how y'all say it? Yeah, it's a cis male dominant field, and it lacks diversity and inclusivity. So even in the tech world, as tech stars, we need to play the card of equity in the
Wow.
tech world.
All right, so you hit a couple of important themes to resolve social issues. So in other words, what you're saying is there's some bad crap going on around here, right?
A lot.
A lot. And why will they just take care of themselves? I mean, what I see, what you're implying is if we don't act, those bad things will continue, yes?
It wouldn't just continue, it's gonna get worse.
Get worse. Okay. So we have a theory now that says one of the reasons why we should engage and do civics is to repair, is to fix, is to make things the way.
I didn't hear that.
Is that fair?
Could you say that again?
Well, what I'm hearing from you, Michael, is one of the reasons why we need to do civics is because there is bad things in the world, inequality, injustice. We didn't cause it. We are usually the victims of such injustice. But if we don't do something about it, it ain't going to fix itself.
So yes, but sometimes we're the cause of it because we're humans too. We have imperfection.
Got it. Sometimes we cause the problems.
And that might be due to unconscious bias or ignorance.
And then you said something else about the tech world, because that's the world you are all in. And I hear you say that the technology world has its own specific problems, yes?
I didn't hear what you said. The line was breaking.
That the technology world, that's your world.
Can someone hear what you're saying?
Yeah, I can hear fine.
What did he say?
Can people hear me all right?
Yeah, mine is breaking. Though.
Okay. Yeah, please let me know if there's a technology issue.
Oh, okay, I can hear you now.
Good. Continue. Okay. What I hear you say, Michael, is that the technology world, the world that you guys are inhabiting, has its own special set of problems.
Yes.
And one of them is lack of diversity. Or again,
and inclusivity. Yeah.
Yes. Which is one of the reasons why IC Stars was created in the first place.
Yes.
So you could say that Sandy and her colleagues back in the day saw the thing that was bad, that was not correct in the world.
Yes.
And we're talking about 1997, right? I don't know, some of you guys might not have been born then, but she saw something that was not correct, the lack of diversity and equity in this technology world that was beginning to take off, right? We're talking about 1998, 1999. Microsoft is about 20 years old at that point. Apple is maybe 10 years old, right? But still, it's obvious it's a big field, a wealthy field. Some people would say it's the wave of the future. So if you're around in 1995, 1967, you're starting to get involved in this world of software, engineering, computers. But where's the people of color? Where are the women?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So Sandy said, all right, I'm going to do something about it. And she and her colleagues went into the laboratory, and they thought, and they looked around, and what they came up with was what you are now experiencing as IC Stars.
Yes.
So what else about civics comes to mind before we proceed? What else about civics? This is all good. Why do civics? Let someone else do it. It's too much work. Why do civics? When you think of civics, what do you think of? Boring stuff? Huh. Interesting stuff. Current events.
Action.
Action. Okay. Let's talk about action. What kind of action?
I mean, actually, let me turn on my video, sorry. Taking action, because why remain stagnant on these social issues when you could do something about it?
Yeah, if you don't act, ... So this is a very important point, Anthony, because when people see injustice or when they experience injustice, what do you think most people do?
They just tend to be the bystander because they don't know what to do at that current situation, or when they experience it, they just don't know how to react. And sometimes if they do react, it can turn out the bad way, but we need to approach it with the most respectful and civilized way. We can educate them or radicalize them. I mean,
Well,
for them.
I would go along with your gut reaction that most people, when they see or experience injustice, are bystanders or they just take it. And that our society doesn't really help people, doesn't really equip you with necessarily the tools to do something about it. And that's why this kind of class, this kind of training that you are taking is very unusual. You should know this is very unusual, to spend so much time thinking about action and engagement, civic change, social justice, all the things that we're going to speak about is really not normally taught when you think about it. You kind of learn by doing a lot of times. And most people are very busy. They got families. They could be working 2 jobs. They could be in tough circumstances. And maybe it's not that they don't want to do something. There's maybe this lack of knowledge, like I'm not sure what to do or how to start, but also I don't have any time. I got kids. I got to get to work. I got to get to Icy Stars and hit the books. I don't got time for all that. So your thoughts, Anthony, I think are on the point here about most people are going to observe or be, as you said, bystanders. That's a good word. Not for lack of having a heart necessarily, but just maybe we're not sure where to start. And also life is life, and we got our plates filled. Okay, I think this is kind of a very good start in discussion of why even engage in this subject. Okay, all right. Back to the screen. We see the screen. Why do civics? Yes. Thumbs up if you see the screen.
Yep.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about our belief systems. So again, this is not normal kind of conversation, for daily life about what do you believe, where do you stand, what's your foundational pedagogy in terms of thinking about society. But we're going to ask you to do that now. And this is from the Pew Research Center. And they have thought deeply about this concept of belief systems. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kinds of political types. That's how they call it, political types. And we're going to ask you guys right now to take a test. Go online and take this short test. It should take you, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes. And this is where you go. Okay, let's resume. If you're still doing the survey, you can still do it while the class is going on. I think about half of you have done it. This is excellent. Really appreciate it. And before we reveal the results and allow some of you to complete the survey, let's quickly go around the horn and please unmute. I'll call you out according to how I see you on the screen. What I'd like you to do is just unmute and just say your name, where you live, and what is your burning issue. This is the time for us to start to talk about this so we can set you up for your final assignment. Okay, so I will just put this in the chat. Name, where you live, and your burning issue. Name, where live, and burning issue. So I'll go first. I'm Tom. I live in Lincoln Park, in the north side of Chicago. My burning issue is economic injustice and the inequality that our system has put on people. So that's me, and I'll put that into the chat. Tom, Lincoln Park, economic injustice. All right. Rachel.
Sorry, I had it on mute. Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
Now, do we have to say what we put down? Because I can't remember.
Well, what's in your heart right now?
Maybe abortion rights.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a huge issue. Cordell.
Hello, Cordell Hext. Currently live in Wrigleyville, and my burning issue is the. Rachel, could you mute your mic, please? Thank you. My burning issue is the rapid deterioration of our climate, leading to mass catastrophe in about 50 years and the end of the world.
Yeah. A big deal. If we don't take care of that, what's the point of everything else we're doing? Danae, is that how I say Danae?
Yep, you said it right. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Danae. Wait, where you from, or do you like where you just live right now?
Where you stay now?
Oh, okay. My name is Danae. I stay in Evergreen Park. And my burning issue is imposter syndrome. Because well, I don't know. For people that don't know, but Evergreen Park is just mostly right now it's becoming more diverse, but at first it was mostly Caucasian. So it's just feeling like when Black people move into like primarily white neighborhoods, and you are made to feel like you don't belong, or like you always get looks, or like it's just really awkward. In the beginning stages, it's starting to get more diverse now, but that's mine. Where it's still like, even if it's not Evergreen Park, like if it's like Skokie or like one of those suburbs where it's like mostly Caucasian, and then they're starting to be like more Black and Asian or other races moving in, and they're made to feel like they're not belong, or they get looked, so they get looked down on because of like their race.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Unmute and tell us. Yeah, there you go.
Is it my turn?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. My name is George. I'm from Logan Square, and my burning issue is gentrification.
Got it. And that's a place where it really matters. Right.
Yeah.
Happening. Yes, sir.
For sure.
Giovanni? Gio?
Yeah, hi, my name is Giovanni Castillo, or Gio for short. I live in Belmont, Cragen, and my burning issue right now is healthcare reform.
Got it. America is the only industrialized country that does not have national health insurance. So our neighbors to the north, Canada, have it. Most of Europe has it. So in the face of a pandemic, which has not left us, it's a very, very crucial issue of how are we taking care of each other? Why this is the most wealthy country in the world. Why can't we take care of each other? I think that is a huge issue. Brian, please.
Yeah, I'm Brian, and I stay over at Highland Park. My burning issue is also gentrification.
And when I hear the word gentrification, what that says to me is that there's people living in a place, maybe working class people, people of not wealthy, but they're not necessarily poor either, but they've been in this place for a while. And then developers come and pick, either could be vacant lots or tear downs, and all of a sudden what was an affordable neighborhood becomes very pricey for a couple of reasons. For one, if your property tax is a modest amount and you're living in a bungalow or maybe a 3-flat, and then next door comes like a mini mansion, your property taxes go up, but your income hasn't gone up. So that's one of the pressures that we see in Chicago. And I don't know if you guys live or know about the 606, but the walking trail that was spent, sort of like a long park that goes along an old railroad tracks, cuts through a lot of working class neighborhoods, old neighborhoods. And you're seeing right along the 606 trail, house values go up 3, 4, 5 times. So these are very important issues. And it talks about stability of the neighborhood, who gets to live where, a lot of key things. Nicholas, please.
Well, you said it. My name is Nicholas, and I live over in Melrose Park. And my burning issue is just the division in this country, and how this government contributes to that. That just how people do not stand together nowadays. They're more like a solo dolo type of community now.
Thank you. Sunday.
Hi. Oh, you know what?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, but can you see me?
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. I see you now.
Okay. So, my name is Sunday. He, they pronouns, and I live on the south side around like 69. And basically my burning issue is white supremacy and capitalism, and how white supremacy capitalism upholds white supremacy in everything that it affects, whether that be uh, global warming, all the way down to abortion rights. It literally affects everything when you really think about it. So that's my burning issue.
Thank you, Sunday. So, Martin Luther King warned us against about the 3 isms: racism, capitalism, and militarism. And he was taken from us before he could really articulate and really push those connections forward into moving from civil rights into economic rights. I personally think that's why he was assassinated, because it's one thing to give people the vote. It's another thing to mess with the economy and the way people do money. So
yeah,
that's just my take on it. But yes, super huge. Thank you. Angel, please.
So I live in Melrose Park, and my issue would be acceptance is understanding other people's point of view.
Say a little more, could you please?
Say more on it, or
just a little more?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people, they'll look at another person's situation and they'll kind of look at it from what they lived, and they don't really try to understand that other person's life story or what they've gone through. And they might see a problem and be like, well, this is what you could have done, but they don't understand how hard it might be for the other person.
Got it. Well, that is very real for me. That to me triggers a word called empathy, and we're going to talk a lot about that. You may think that word empathy has nothing to do with civics, or like, why even talk about that in a class on government or civics or power? But actually, what you just hit on is something underneath the underneath. So yeah, you get extra 10 points for triggering that. Super important. point. Anthony, please.
Does this fall back to the checking off the list on whether or not you want to voice your burning issues?
Yeah, we're asking you where you stay and what your burning issue is.
So my name is Anthony Obispo, and I stay in Beaumont Cragen. And one of my biggest burning issues, like as of now, still is poverty. So to really dissect that, I mean homelessness, especially here in Chicago.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's another issue of who has the money, where's the money, show me the money.
Yeah, where's the money going to? Like
yes, sir.
How? Yeah.
Understood. Thank you. Elise, please.
My name's Elise. Obviously, you know that. I live in River Forest, and my burning issue is the lack of financial literacy and the poverty line. So I feel like the poverty line has stayed in the same spot for a really long time, but you're seeing more and more people struggle financially because of rent is going up, the cost of living is going up, but the poverty line is still the same. So people who might need more help and need more government assistance can't get that assistance because technically in the government eyes, they make too much, even though it's not enough.
Thank you. Well, in another version of this class, I give a lecture on economic inequality. That's the most depressing lecture I do. And I've been teaching for 40 years. And so you hit upon a theme, which is my burning issue, which I revealed to you. Yeah, if we don't fix that, between that and the climate, we got these two giant issues that are really kind of blowing each other up. Why is it that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? I mean, basically, that is the question on the table right there. And especially in a place like Chicago. Okay, Devon, please.
My name is Devon. I'm from Inglewood. I would say that my burning issue is the educational inequalities that we have being on the south side of Chicago and working in education a few years. I've seen that not a lot of resources and not a lot of funds are allocated to schools that are primarily Black and brown. A lot of teachers don't really kind of care to actually educate. They just go to get a paycheck. And it just kind of seems like those students are kind of just forgotten.
Yeah, so that is a byproduct of the other things we're talking about. So if you have a city that's got a lot of racism in it, a lot of segregation in it, if it's a lot of inequity of resources. So I would say if you think of Roosevelt as a sort of a dividing line, sort of a dividing line, you think of north of Roosevelt and south of Roosevelt. They talk about two Chicagos. This is what part of what you're speaking of, and then you talk about life expectancy. Some people were concerned about life expectancy and other byproducts of racism and injustice. We know that someone born on the north side versus someone on the south side, there's a life distance of about 12 years. So if I'm on the north side, Devon, and you're on the south side, and we both had a child like today, somehow you make a child appear, everything else being the same, but I don't know anything else about you, right? You don't know much about me, but what the statistics say is my child will live 10 years more than yours if we don't change anything. So that's completely screwed up. Hidayah, is that how I say it? Hidayah?
It's pronounced Hidayah.
Hidayah, okay, please.
Yeah, my burning issue is the lack of love and empathy we have for each other. So when Angel said his burning issue, I thought they were really similar. I feel like if we all just had a little more love in our hearts, then things like patriarchy, white supremacy, homophobia, capitalism, all of those things wouldn't really exist had we just have more love and respect for each other.
Wow. That is deep. I 100% agree with you, actually. And as I say, we're going to talk about this in a little while. That's, like we said, that's underneath the underneath.
Yeah.
And you know, I would say that in some classes we talk about these feelings, these basic states of mind, and can I make you have empathy? Can I make you have empathy?
Yeah.
Can I? Can I force you to be empathetic?
No.
No. So
That's-
it's a question that we want to wrestle with. It's a good question to think about, is how do we get there? I can't shame you, I can't argue you, right? Maybe I can pay you. I don't know, but even that's weird.
Yeah.
But if we believe that we need more empathy, or as you say, love, and I'm not going to shy away from that. I do absolutely believe we need more civic love, or the African people say Ubuntu. There's a saying in some cultures called Ubuntu, which means I am because you are.
Mm.
And so Nelson Mandela spoke of this as a feature of some of the African belief systems, where I can't just be by myself. I can't just go off and have a good life and be wealthy and happy. But I know my sisters and brothers are poor or hurting, or in some ways not as fortunate as I am. Even though we're all together, what Ubuntu means is I really can't be all I can be unless you are all you can be.
Mm. Mm.
And I guess that's, again, is that something we can argue? Like, you show me your evidence and I don't think it's necessarily about proving it or disproving it, like a fact. Like, we know if you mix chemicals, like H2O is water, that's a fact, right? 1 and 1 will always equal 2. That's a mathematical fact. But Ubuntu is a spirit of beliefs. So again, very important that we touched upon this. This is super important. Thank you. Blair, please.
Hi, can you guys hear me? All right, can you hear me on the thing? Okay, yeah. My name is Blair from Southside Chicago. Burning issue, probably a combination of two, abortion rights and also the mistreatment and discrimination against trans people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Nicholas.
I think I already, am I going again?
Oh, you went. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You just moved around on my screen. Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm from Nigeria and south side of Chicago. My present issue, well, I don't know I'll call it 2 words if we could find a word to merge it. One is supremacy, and 2 is community. Now, reason I said that is there's so much division in the community that people, even though we call it the land of the free and the home of the brave, we're not really free. You got to watch everything you say. You got to watch everything you do. And can people just live their lives with the ideologies? Do we have to fight every day over just issues or personal decisions? Then also, another issue I'm having is supremacy. I'm thinking, why do people have to feel better than somebody because of the color of their skin, or probably because I know more than you or have more money than you?
Got it. A theme has emerging. I think you see some common themes from the issues that are being discussed. Jasmine, please.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm Jasmine Mina. I'm from Logan Square. Currently live in Wheeling, Illinois. And my burning issue is immigration reform, along with gentrification.
Immigration reform, right? Yes, thank you, because the former president made immigration a hateful issue in this country. Instead of welcoming one another, we're now, battling each other. my grandparents came to America from Europe and came and settled and made a living for themselves, raised their children. And I feel that's why, what's going on now? It's very important that you ask that question. Esther, please.
Yes. My name is Esther Wong. I live by Bronzeville. And my burning issue is like I'm born and raised in Singapore. So like coming here, like things are very different. So we felt that a lot of people do not have equal opportunities. Whereas this issue had been addressed back in Singapore.
So I'm hearing you. I think I heard you say about equality. Is that something?
Like do not have equal opportunities.
Okay, thank you. And I think Tachina, is that how I say it? Your name?
Me, Esther.
No, now we have
It's
Tachina
Tashina.
Foster.
Oh, sorry.
Tashina Foster.
Thank
Right, you can call me Tech.
Tech, thank you.
What's the question?
Where do you stay and what is your burning issue?
I stay on the south side of Chicago, and at the moment I can't think of a burning issue. I don't remember what I wrote.
Well, what's in your heart right now?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah, so I'm being serious.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm kind of empty right now.
No problem. Okay, I think that's everybody. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, the reason why we asked you to share in this way is because in the
Well,
final
actually,
class,
I didn't get to go. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Please.
So where I stay is like west side of Chicago, around Humboldt Park, and my burning question is like the different opportunities that low income neighborhoods get as opposed to higher income neighborhoods. We don't have the same opportunities and chances as higher income neighborhoods.
Got it. Well, again, that reflects some of the themes of this morning where you're talking about inequality, baked in racism and other things that have happened before you got to this planet, things that happened before you got here that are impacting how your community can thrive, right? I think thank you. So I think 15 people have completed the survey. Please continue to do it even if the class is over. I think it'll be worthwhile. So here's what it breaks out for America in terms of the these typologies. You see that progressive lefts down on the lower side is 6%, and that would be me. That's when I filled out this form. That would be me. I'm a progressive lefty. And then on at the other end, faith and flag conservative is about 10%. And then in the middle, you have what's called the stressed sideliners. And so it's sort of like a spectrum, if you will, of beliefs across America, where no one of these particular belief sets is dominant, but that it's like a mosaic, if you think about it. The stress sideliners are in the middle with the greatest, about 15%, and then you can see on either side the numbers are somewhat similar, with the domestic mainstays being a little bigger at 16%. So how did you guys show up with this particular poll? So
outside of left.
Can everyone see the results of the poll? Yes, a thumbs up, you can see the results of the poll.
I can't see them. Where do we view them?
Okay. I need to adjust the old sharing of the screen here.
Oh, okay.
How about?
Yes.
Okay. So far, 15 interns have filled out this survey, and you're mostly in the middle there, which is like the larger country. More people are sort of stressed out, and then for the rest of the people who filled out the survey, they're sort of evenly divided on the more liberal side of the spectrum. So as people were taking this quiz, did you have any thoughts about it? Were you surprised? You don't have to reveal your results unless you want to, but I'm asking two things.
Oh,
before you go, let me just say the two things I'm looking for is, what did you think about the test, and were you surprised by the results? But you don't have to say what they were. Okay, go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
Oh, particularly on this one question about U.S. being the greatest country, I would reword some of the choices. The one I picked definitely wasn't how I feel 100%, which I think was that U.S. is one of the best countries among with others. I would just reword.
Okay.
But
I heavily agree. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I am progressive left. That's my result.
You're with me. Okay. Yes,
I heavily agree with Ant because I feel like the test. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Okay, but the test. Some of the answers were like. I can't remember because I try to repress such horrible things, but like some of the answers was like either mid right or far right, and I was like, babes, I'm neither. So I don't. So I didn't. I had to choose, but that's like I think that's like a definite show of like our current political parties. Because really, people be like, "Oh, you're Democrat or you're Republican." It's like, no, babes, you're either right or a little bit not so right, but you're still right. Like they both throw bombs. One of them's just pink. So yeah, I don't know. The test just didn't give full representation.
Understood. Yes, and so yes, it makes you think about the people who put that particular quiz together, which is, it's about a year or so old. It's not correct with the times. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with it for sure. But it's a good thing to spark conversation. Other reactions to this, or the results that it gave you, like you were questioning the results, or you were aligned with the results. Is it useful to even think about this kind of typology? I mean, as we enter into civics and politics, you are coming as a human, as a formed person. Some of you are in your 20s, 30s, what have you. You've been around. Some of you have families. We're entering into this work as formed people, but we do have beliefs. And part of what we're trying to lift up right now is where do those beliefs come from, and can you change them? So do you want to change them? But this is just the conversation to get us thinking about where we're standing, okay? Other thoughts about the results of this quiz and how you're showing up? No? Okay. All right. Okay, well, I think some of you were already talking about divisions in the country. It's troubling why we are not able to work together. And we are a very fractured country, that's for sure. People have beliefs, as this quiz tries to articulate, from the right to the left. And it doesn't necessarily follow with your religious beliefs. It doesn't mean that someone who's very religious is either one way or another. That's not what we're trying to say. But people do believe in small government versus big government. People do believe that the government should get out of your face and we shouldn't have taxes. And other people believe that the government is helpful and we do need taxes to pay for the government. And how you particularly feel about that will reflect these beliefs. Some people do believe America is the greatest country in the world and should push our weight around, right? Go in other countries and take care of their governments, push them around because we're so great. And other people believe that we have no such business pushing our weight around. And again, what you believe will reflect where you land on that scale, which means when a political candidate is trying to curry your favor or to get you to vote, they will be speaking to those beliefs about equality or supremacy or whatever we're speaking about. So it's important for you to understand where your own beliefs lie. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you to think about this particular quiz. Okay. All right. Well, now, does anybody want to say anything else about this before we move on to the next part of our work, which is about how to do civics? No? Okay. All right. Fair enough. So back to sharing the screen. Can all see what is civic engagement? Right? Thumbs up if you see it. Cool. Okay, my friends. We spend a little bit of time trying to understand where we stand right now in, as of 10:14 a.m. in Chicago as a set of human beings with beliefs and attitudes. We come from a certain place. We were born in a certain place. We're now here together in Icy Stars trying to think about civics. I asked you to think about your own belief sets, and I ask you to reveal what your burning issue is. And you start to think about a little bit about where you stand in your beliefs and your burning issues, and you start to see that they kind of go together, right? All right, now we'll get to this point about, well, what to do about all this. I think very early in our conversation, someone said, well, how do you do civics? So, maybe we don't act because we just don't know which way to go. How do you start? What's the first foot you put forward? All right, so now I will share with you what the Civic Lab believes is a way to think about civic engagement. And we talk about 3 domains. The first is the domain of the heart. Remember, back to the heart. We just talked about that. What is your civic heart? What is your civic disposition? Where are you starting from? The second domain is the civic brain. What should you be able to know? What's up in here in terms of your knowledge set? What should you know? And then the third domain is civic muscle. What should you be able to do? And we're going to take each one of these domains in this class and the next 2 classes and try to go a little deep in them. And while we do that, we're going to go back and forth with a discussion of civic leadership, and we're going to introduce the term servant leadership this morning. Has anyone heard this term, servant leadership? You can do a thumbs up, Cordell. A few, yeah, okay, this is good. Maybe 3 or 4 folks. So good, this is good. Maybe you'll help us out when we get to that. But for right now, we're going to go into small groups of about 4 people each. And what's going to happen is in these small groups, you're going to do this. One person's going to be a guide and kind of keep track of the time and make sure everyone is participating. And then we'll need someone to be a reporter and to take notes. And we're going to be using a Jamboard for taking notes. And each group will have their own Jamboard. But this is the assignment. In small groups, I want you to think about this. What should be your civic heart? We already kind of sketched it. We already kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm looking for responses around traits, like your personal traits, your states of mind, or your mindsets, or your appetites and attitudes. And the idea is for someone to be really powerful in civics and to engage in the work that we're touching about today, social change, community work, civic work, what kind of person should you be? How should you be coming at it with your civic heart? All right, and I'll put these prompts into the instructions again to remind you. But right now, we'll set up the small groups and make that happen. Coming back together in the main space here. Thank you so much for that exercise. I saw a lot of good things happening in the Jamboards. So we got 5 groups. Each group will have 2 minutes to report back. So think about what you're going to say while you're organizing your thoughts. I'm going to put 2 documents into the chat right now that you should download and have for yourselves. The first has to do with that Pew political typology that you did the quiz on. And so you'll see this right there into the chat. So this is a little summary of those types and the national results. So again, flawed, but I think useful. The second document I'm going to put in the chat is your final assignment. So now everyone has shared their burning issue. And what we want you to do for the final session, each intern will be given about 6 minutes. And basically, you're going to present a little bit more about that. You're going to tell us a little bit more about this issue that you care about. You're going to use some data that you're going to grab from the internet to tell us how big a deal is. So it's going to require you to be a little more specific and sharpen up how you speak about your burning issue. And then you're going to present a solution. You are going to solve it. And you're going to present your best creative thinking, money being no object. All right, so that's in the chat right now. And let me put that in there for you. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. It's called the Putting Out the Fire assignment. And we'll have time to go over that in a little more detail next week. I'm going to give you a chance to review it. Again, the instructions are also linked from our class website. Okay. I will now turn on that Jamboard so we can all see what you guys came up with. And there we go. So I think you can see the Jamboard. Can everyone see the Jamboard?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There it is. So, there we start with group 1.
It says group 4, but it is actually group 1.
Oh. I think that's a mistake there. Okay, please, group 1. Tell us what your thinking is. What'd you come up with?
Take it away, Sunday.
This was not group 1. This was some other group.
This is group 4. Yeah, this is group 4 stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. I don't know. I messed up the label somehow. I don't know how that happened, but please just report back.
Okay, Sunday, take it away.
Okay, so what's something that should be inside the civic heart is I feel like empathy, because you really should be able to care about a human because they're human, not because you experienced it, not because it made you feel like. All of that is individualistic ideas that you are is that you are projecting onto that who the projecting onto that person. And thank you. So basically, and then rebellion, something innate in you should be present to fight. Hello? Something innate in you should be present to fight back oppressive systems. I feel like you should always have that power in you to see what's right and wrong, and the ability to fight against it, and to uplift others, to be able to be vocal against it as well. This last one, I don't know who put this, but I do not agree with it, because if I'm being honest, I'm really tired of this rhetoric of be able to respect other points of view that are different from yours, because some points of view are just downright wrong and have always been shoved down people's throat.
But just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean you don't have to respect it.
I'm not respecting somebody's point of view that values that I die.
Well, obviously not that, but I'm saying other views and opinions.
Okay,
obviously not that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this line of rhetoric has like usually it lacks the nuance of that, like of saying, how do I say this? This specific phrase is a very, I want to say like centrist. It's a very centrist talking point of like, oh, acknowledge both sides, be respectful towards both sides. When one person wants to live and one person wants to stop that other person from living, like one of those views are obviously not worth respecting. And we need to stop enabling and cultivating safe spaces for those very derogatory and just downright oppressive mentalities.
I understand, and I'm totally with you with those extreme examples, but like every other example, I feel like people should respect other people's opinions. Obviously, not those extreme outliers.
There's not outliers. So you think it's an outlier for people to not have these mentalities? I mean, you think it's an outlier for people to have these mentalities, and then people to lose their liberty of livelihood due to these oppressive mentalities?
I'm not saying
you don't
they're
think
outliers.
This is the norm?
I'm saying just extreme.
You
just
did
extreme
say
in general. Yeah, okay, my bad. Not outliers. Extreme in general.
Okay. So it's extreme to not be it's extreme to not consider oppressive views. That's extreme.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it should be more common to listen to oppressive views, even if they're actively oppressive.
No, that's not what
I
I'm
kind of want to
saying.
jump in on the conversation.
That's not what I'm saying.
So we just recently had our 360 reviews, and one of my areas of improvement included being more open-minded and listening to other people's point of views and respecting other people's point of views. Now, Sunny, I definitely understand where you come from. Now, when I wrote this, I wasn't speaking on like life or death situations. I'm talking about like when you having an intelligent conversation with two people who are capable of like of generating like intelligent thoughts and intelligent points of view, those should be respected because it's two different sides of the spectrum. Like one person could be like, just like if you tell me that you like apples and I tell you I like oranges, I'm not going to disrespect you because you like oranges and not apples.
There you go. That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
And I'm not going to tell you that you liking apples is wrong. I'm going to say like, okay, you can like apples, I can like oranges.
Yo, I think I'm gonna just let it move on from here because I think we're choosing to be very naive and to think that I don't know that like this is obviously. Why are we pretending to not know the severity of very like centrist beliefs like this and what they can enable?
Okay, Sunday, let me give you
It's fine. No, it's fine.
I think we
I'd like to give an example.
Go ahead.
So, like the test you gave us at first was giving an example of Democrats and Republicans and etc. Some people think, oh, we should pay taxes to help people build. Some people help the government build. Some other people say, no, we shouldn't pay taxes. These are different views from different people that see things from different perspectives. And so for me to disrespect, let me say, Ohe's views, because Ohe thinks if he pays taxes, the rules will be good. And say, Ohe, shut up, I don't want to listen to what you're saying. You know, that is a way of disrespecting his view, even though it's not extreme. That's how I see it. So I should try to listen to his perspective, even though I have my own perspective. And I shouldn't just shut him down because I think his view is stupid.
There you go.
Well, this is a very important point, and I guess I'm just tracking some of the conversation in the chat. And one question comes up: are there any views that should be universal?
It is important that we need to respect others. I understand there are extreme situations,
and
but more likely than not, if one person like Devon said,
I hear people talking. I know you guys are together. Bring your focus back to the screen, please.
Sorry, bring it back, Nick.
My bad.
I know, because you guys are together. It's weird. I know you guys are right there.
Yeah, my bad. All I was saying that it's like, how many wars have started because one nation didn't respect another? How many people have died because one person didn't respect the other person's point of view? There's a lot of bloodshed when there's no respect in life. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay, well, I think we can have a long, fruitful conversation about this, but I think you've touched upon some very important points.
I just feel like wars are started because people choose to go to war, not because of the issue, not because of the disrespect. And also, we all have a different idea of what respect is. I guess I'm kind of curious on what your idea of respect is. And then another thing is why are we comparing apples and oranges to burning issues? Because it's not the same.
I mean, my thing is so is it okay, so because we have conversation with
okay, let's see what the next group has to say. Let's move on.
If somebody speaks, let's leave this conversation for because we're getting off track.
We'll just go. We'll come back to it.
You got some good stuff here.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to it.
Focus up now on the screen. Group 2, good stuff. It's all important stuff. But let's see what group 2 has to say.
It's good stuff. You already said. Yeah. What was the prompt again? Could you refresh us? Because we were struggling.
Just remind us from group 2, what are the key issues of the civic heart? You've got some great things here on the Jamboard. Can you see?
Yeah. So yeah, I did. But one thing that we mentioned was having empathy, because that's the most critical thing on taking on civic issues, because you need to be emotionally intelligent, which interlinks with empathy. Devon, Hidayah, come on.
This wasn't ours.
This is ours, Devon.
This is ours, Devon. That just shows.
Yes, we have self-awareness because it's important to be self-aware and always check behind yourself, because sometimes you could think you're doing something right or being and living right and you're not. So I feel like it's always important to be self-aware when you're a civic leader. And we also put being brave and being vocal, because if you're a leader, those are two key things. You can't lead if you're not brave, and you can't lead if you don't speak up.
Then speaking on the empathy, so compassion is key. You can't be empathetic if you're not compassionate. And compassionate goes in 2 dimensions. You gotta love yourself as a human being, and you have to have love for other people before you could actually want good for them.
That's awesome. Self-awareness, love for self. The world that we're in of social justice and doing this kind of work is very stressful and sometimes lonely. And oftentimes you might be the only one in the room seeing something or speaking out. And as we see, social justice can be stressful. So yes, taking care of yourself, important. Anything else from this group? I like the one about being brave, speaking up, even though you might be the only one.
Yeah, so about the being brave and speaking up, we discussed that sometimes some wars are fought confrontationally. Sometimes some wars are fought at the back of the scene. So we use the example of Colin Kaepernick and Black Lives Matter. So Colin Kaepernick wasn't vocal, but he kneeling down and putting up the fist shook a lot of things. And Black Lives Matter, them being vocal also shook up of a lot of things too. So being brave and being vocal are come in two different fronts. Is either you're confrontational about it, or what's the other word? You fight behind the lines. Yeah.
Yes, taking the knee was risky, wasn't it? You can risk your career. You can risk a lot. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay. Awesome. These are very important points. How about this group?
Do you want me to talk about it, or I'll talk about it? Okay. How you doing, Tom? So for personal traits, we put openness, good listener, sincerity, and kindness. States of being / mindsets, we put aware of others people's, I believe that says values and ideals. And then under that is loving and respect all sides of the spectrum. And then we have, I don't know if communicative is also part of that, but we have appetites and attitudes. We have appetite to learn, empathetic, and sympathetic. And then the JBEN, which is our first letter of their names.
Ah, sweet.
Just to let you know.
I appreciate you guys have come up with so many important qualities. And I like especially this one that you added about learning, lifelong learning. I believe that is true for me. I just turned 70, but I'm still learning. And so I appreciate that to be a good social justice practitioner, a good change agent, you must be a little humble and brash at the same time. How about that? So you're learning, you're listening, you're taking in knowledge, you're seeing things for as they are, but then you're speaking up and trying to do something about it. So it's a strange combination of being humble, like I don't know everything, but also at some point I am going to speak up and try to make things better. And who gave me permission to do that? Nobody. You take the permission because that's your right. All right, this is great stuff. Next group, a lot here. What do we have here?
So the big thing we talked about first was compassion. I'm sorry, give me a moment here. We thought that to have a good civic heart. Jesus, can you mute his mic? We have a bad echo here if somebody leaves their mic on when somebody else is speaking. Yeah, so we thought compassion was very important to begin with, that a person should be able to, I think it's been touched on already, be able to like kind of understand others in order to kind of put forward themselves in civics. What was the other one here? I mentioned that I think people should have like progressive attitudes and a desire for change and a resistance of stagnation. I personally think that a stagnant society is one that is destined to fail, and that change is always something that should never be resisted and kind of be not necessarily accepted right away, but like evaluated and brought in. If the other members of my team wanted to say something, then feel free.
I like that idea of questioning. So to me, when I hear that, Cordell, I hear don't be satisfied with the status quo. Just because things are the way they are, and that's the way they've been, that doesn't mean the way it has to be. Right? For many years in America, white and black people couldn't marry each other. It was against the law, right? For decades, gay people could not marry each other. It was thought to be wrong. And you could say, well, that's how it's always been. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. You just say, well, I don't know any other way. But people see and they grow and they go, wait a minute, this is not right. I don't care how long this has been around. It could have been around 1,000 years. It doesn't matter. So having this ability to question and to have a sense of like, wait, that isn't right. That just isn't right. And I'm going to do something about it. It's hard for me to articulate that. Well, where does that come from? Again, it comes from your spirit. It comes from your lived experience. everyone is an expert in their own lives. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, definitely.
So if you look around and you go, this don't look right to me. I don't care. It's been this way 100 years. It's just not right. That is a crucial piece of this. And again, a lot of times people who speak up and try to do something are put down or they're punished. You know what I'm saying? You're ostracized. That does happen. But I love that question, that the way you put it. And this idea of imagining your civic imagination, super important. Well, I love all this. This is great. I really appreciate this. And I think we had one more group, which is huge. Oh my gosh. Okay, what's here?
Yeah, so ours was kind of mixed up. But we said like some character traits would be patient, empathetic, a good communicator, courageous, honest, inclusive, adaptable. Um, it's a lot of them: organized, high spirits, relatable, self-assured, determined, logical. And then for the other ones, we said being aware of opinions outside of oneself. Um, and then knowing when to assert dominance, and when to stand down, because you don't need to like they say, they have a saying, it's like pick your battles, knowing what battles to go there for and what battles to just kind of sit back. And then wanting and willing to walk in another person's shoes, because we always tend to make opinions about someone else when we never walked in their shoes before. And then not being afraid. Just I can't hold on. I can't see it. Let me see. Okay, yeah, not being afraid of stepping outside of your comfort zone. Um, willing to be the leader and the voice for those that don't have one or just simply aren't listened to, and then being curious.
Oh, I love all that stuff. Is so awesome. That was awesome. Yes. Being fearless. Now, the question is to have courage. Do you know that you have courage? I don't think you do until you're in that moment. You can say, exactly. Hey, I'm a badass, but until you're in a situation where you are risking something, we don't know if you have courage or not. But I think you're right that we do need to have courage when we take this work on. Absolutely. I love the idea of being strategic. Step up, step back, right? Give someone the mic, take the mic.
Yeah, I think that relates to being courageous, because you're being courageous when you step into a situation that you're most likely uncertain about and that you don't know how it's going to end, but you were brave enough to do it anyway, despite the outcome.
I have a phrase that I live by. I say it's make the path by walking it. If this was easy work, it had been done already. So the stuff we're talking about being involved in change, being analytical, being critical of your society, these are not easy things to do. And when you step up and do something about it, there's not often a clear path, like getting an erector set, or solving an equation. You plug in one variable and another variable, and that's just how you do it. When we're working with human beings, and who are honorary and contrary and emotional, and we have all our mixture of things that make us who we are. To be an educator and a leader is a difficult task, and often we make the path by walking it. Now, you've mentioned many, many ideas, but I wonder, is there one or two from all the things that we've talked about that you guys would vote as like the top one or two things for Civic Heart? The top one or two traits.
I would say empathy. Empathy came up a lot in all of our boards.
Yes.
I would say that's one of the main ones, top one.
Cool. Any other candidates?
Love.
Love. Oh. Love. Yes. Okay. Yes. I respond to that. Compassion comes up. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Any others that are like right up there? Super, super important.
I think some iteration of like courage came through whether it was displayed as like bravery, courage, or like rebellion, like something that the fight, like some kind of
Yeah, the fighting
spirit.
Well, yes, right. You can say this quality of I won't take no for an answer, or persistence, courage. Yes, the idea that which is risky. So I'm willing to risk something to do this work. And so would you accept possibly, somewhere up there, generosity? In that I'm willing to do all this stuff, even though I personally am not going to get wealthy from it. So I'm willing to sacrifice, I'm willing to risk this work and do these things that we're speaking here today. But I'm not expecting a reward as we normally think about it in capitalism.
I would say, kind of touching on what you said, I don't think we mentioned it directly, but I think we indirectly discussed it as altruism, as being a good like catch-all word for that sort of thing. Did you hear me?
Yes. So I would say,
Okay.
yeah, I would say this idea of understanding or caring about people you don't know, but you just believe that that's important for you to wrestle with. Again, we go back to this concept of Ubuntu. I am because you are. I can't argue you into that, Cordell. I can't make you care about me. I can't make you care about your neighbors. I could preach to you. I could show you texts. I could tell you stories, right? I can make you watch the movies. I don't know. I could try a lot of ways, to convince you to care about people who are not your family. But at the end of the day, back to what we said about the heart. Will you love people that you don't know and who might be different from you? And will you care about them enough to make some noise? Or as John Lewis used to say, make some righteous trouble. Okay, my good friends in Cycle 51, this is the time we have for us today for our first session. I hope we're off to a good foot. We will be back together next Friday at 9, when we will now talk about civic brain. And we'll go deep into that topic. Are there any comments before I have to say goodbye for right now?
Thank you for taking the time to teach us all this.
Oh, it's my pleasure entirely. I have to say that of all the things I do in civic life, being in front of icy stars is the most meaningful to me. So I give all props to Sandy and Larry and the people working over there, and all props to you guys for taking this journey, because I know it's not easy. I know they're making you work like the Dickens. All right, my friends, we'll see you next Friday. In a few day or so, this video will be on the class website and you may revisit it. All right, everyone, be well.